5 reasons walking is the king of fat loss. Changed my life. Changed my life too. Let's watch.
And how I lost 110 pounds with diet because I'm a diet guy. But what did I do for activity? Like, what did I do? You want to know the lion's share of what I did? I walked. Doesn't mean I didn't lift, doesn't mean I didn't run, doesn't mean I didn't do other things. But the large majority of my activity was walking, simply walking. Now, I'm going to lay out the details of the benefits and why it's so advantageous when it comes down to preserving muscle and things like that. But first, we have to look at this paper that was recently published that is very daunting. It demonstrated that by the year 2030, 1 out of 2 people are going to be obese, and 1 out of every 4 people are going to be severely obese.
1 out of 2 and 1 out of 4. Hang on. So that's by 2030. That's 6 years from now. In America, 1 out of 2 people will be obese. So half of us are going to be obese. Now, you'd be surprised what obese can qualify as. Most people that look just a little overweight, to our standards anyways, are still considered to be obese. I would know. I was morbidly obese. I was 270 pounds. And for perspective, I'm 5'4" as a 30-year-old guy. So I don't carry the weight very well, you know what I'm saying? And I was keeping track of my BMI as I lost weight because I lost half of that weight. I'm in good shape now. I'm not obese. I'm in a healthy weight now. But even when I looked decent, I was still technically obese. So that's still a crazy statistic. Wow, interesting.
That is flipping scary. Okay, that is a dangerous path that we are walking towards.
That's a huge number, but it doesn't surprise me.
Now, when we look at other data, like large cohort studies, there was a study that was published in Lancet that took a look at 15 individualized cohort studies. And it divided people into 4 simple categories. People that walked about 3,500 steps per day, 5,800 steps per day, 7,800 steps per day, and just shy of 11,000 steps per day.
Those are very specific numbers, but you could kind of round them, right? So this one's about 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, 11,000. So 4, 6, 8, 11.
There was a dose-dependent relationship between how much people walked and their all-cause mortality. So let's just get that out in the open. People that walked 5,800 steps per day were 40% less likely to die than people that walked 3,500 steps per day. People that walked 7,800 steps per day were 45% less likely to die, less risk of all-cause mortality. Okay, people that walked close to 11,000 steps per day, 53% less risk in all-cause mortality compared to the 3,500 step group.
Those statistics are interesting, and that sounds great and all, but without data and knowing what the control groups are and the sample size and all of these important factors, I wouldn't take this as fact, as gospel. But the message to take from that, I would think, is, hey, if you move more, if you take more steps, if you're walking throughout the day, you're probably going to live longer than someone that sits around.
This isn't just to scare you.
Makes sense.
It's to really demonstrate that the simplest thing we can do is just walk. From a metabolic side of things, insulin resistance, all of this can dramatically be mitigated by moving our muscles. Now, resistance training definitely has its metabolic benefits when it comes down to improving insulin resistance and improving that. But we forget that walking is moving some of the largest muscles in our body, our glutes, our quads, our hamstrings, big muscles. And when we move these muscles, something miraculous happens. Okay, it doesn't just do healthy things for us. The simple contraction of these muscles sucks glucose out of the bloodstream without insulin even being required.
And that's the scientific explanation. Here's my very simple way of thinking. By the way, I'm not a one or the other guy. I'm a one and the other kind of person when it comes to fitness. It's good to walk. It's good to lift. It's good to diet. You don't have to just pick one. You could do them all, but something is better than nothing. Here's my explanation, though, for if people wonder what's better for weight loss, lifting weights or cardio, if you had to pick one. Let's say you're benching 120 pounds, and you do that don't know, 8 times. That's about 1,000 pounds you're moving. I'm not doing the math in my head, but you're doing at least 1,000 pounds of movement. You're moving 150 pounds, 300, 450, 600. Do you feel? When you walk, imagine how much you weigh. You're moving that weight constantly forward. That's how I look at it. You're really moving a lot of weight simply by walking around. It helps so much.
Meaning that's giving the pancreas a break from having to pump out insulin while the cells in your legs are sucking glucose out of the bloodstream. That same glucose that's floating around the bloodstream potentially causing damage because it's elevated. So metabolically, it's a lot easier to get someone to walk than it is to get them to start resistance training. Start with walking. Oh, and by the way, there was another study that demonstrated if you just increase your step count 1,000 steps from where you are right now per day, you have a 12% less risk of all-cause mortality. 12% less chance of dying if you take the amount of steps you're walking today and increase that by 1,000. Now, there is a caveat. The upper end is like 17,000. After that point, it's a line of diminishing return. But walking also utilizes more fat as a percentage of fuel. Now, you can make the argument that if you go out for a run and you run for 60 minutes, you're going to burn more calories and ultimately burn more fat than you did walking for 60 minutes. And that is true. But as a percentage, walking is going to burn more fat as a percentage, which is definitely going to count for something huge.
If you ran for an hour versus walking for an hour, of course running will burn more energy because you're moving a greater distance. But here's how I look at it. I can go for a run and I get winded kind of quick, to be honest. I go for mile runs sometimes. I can go a few miles if I really pace myself. But I can walk so long. And I think it's way better to be able to walk for a long time than to run for a short sprint. You're not burning that much more by running. It's more so the distance and the amount of energy that you're expending. If you can keep it going for a long time and you have the time to do it, walking is going to actually be more beneficial than running. But again, that's if we had to pick one. We don't have to pick one. We could do both. You don't have to, but just saying.
Because you can walk for a long period of time. So that means like the longer that you walk at a low intensity, the more fat you are utilizing and less carbohydrates and other fuel you're utilizing. Meaning, if you have the time to walk and just casually walk, you're going to burn a lot of fat and only fat and not break up nearly as much muscle, which brings me to...
If you have the time, and I have a way to get around that for people that don't have time. I'll talk about it at the end.
My next point. Walking is very muscle sparing. So in the spirit of a thoughtful nod towards all the benefits of resistance training, clearly I resistance train. It's important. But in the spirit of that,
is less stress
how do
on
we
the body.
preserve that much muscle mass? We need to have a balance of high VO2 max activity where we're really stressing our cardiorespiratory system and making it stronger. But the lion's share of our caloric burn should come from simple walking and moving. It's going to be very muscle sparing. It's going to improve what's called angiogenesis. It's going to improve how you get more blood flow into the actual muscle area.
That's a new word for me.
Making it so that that muscle can activate better and preserve better. Plus, the lower intensity is really, really, really good when it comes down to utilizing fats, which are going to spare muscle breakdown. Something that's very important is that when you're walking, you may not realize, because you're not crazy sweating and things like that, that you are still burning through electrolytes. I did want to make that note. There's a link down below for LMNT, which are the electrolytes that I use. That link down below will get you a free sample pack, a free variety pack with any
You could
purchase.
buy some
so I'm a big fan
Gatorade.
of the citrus salt. I love the mango chili
don't drink
and the lemon
Gatorade.
habanero. Those are really my jam. So that link is down below. It's drinklmnt.com/Thomas. So if you're going for a walk fasted, maybe you're not eating something, that's what I typically do.
I probably don't get a lot of electrolytes, but I'm living. I'm okay.
It almost feels like I'm drinking something I shouldn't be drinking. It feels really good. It doesn't have any artificial sweeteners, so it doesn't have any of the nasty stuff. It's just salt, potassium, magnesium, and some stuff that makes it taste a little bit good. So that link is down below in the description. The next reason is simple. It's non-concussive. It does not beat up your joints the way other things do. Do
Save
not
your
get me wrong.
knees.
I love hard things. I sprint a lot. I do intense cardio a lot. I do metcons. I do it all. But again, if you were to look at my workout paradigm, say, what does Thomas spend the most of his time doing? The bulk of my active time is just walking. Because if I were spending the bulk of my active time running, I probably wouldn't have the joints that I have now. Okay, so being able to walk is good for muscle preservation, but it's also good for sparing your joints. The bottom line with it is you're not beating up your body. It's sustainable, and that really, really counts for something. And the last piece is it allows you to get the natural other things that need to come into your life. Vitamin D, sun exposure, low light gazing, all these things that affect our brain and affect our neurochemistry. That if we are segmenting our workout life and our regular life a bunch, then we don't get that.
That's a big thing for me, especially. I have a chronic disease. It's called psoriasis, and that makes it sound way worse than it actually is, but I essentially get really irritated skin. My immune system attacks my own body, specifically my skin. So my scalp, my hairline, my face, sometimes my legs, all over the place. I'll get almost like scabs, almost. And I use medicine for it that the doctor gives me. But they say a good thing to help with psoriasis is to get vitamin D, to get sunlight.
Compartmentalizing, we're having to spend all this extra time. Walking allows us to get it all done in one simple place. Go out for a walk, take your phone calls on a walk. Go out on a walk, take your dogs for a walk.
Play Pokemon Go.
Get some space from your family for a minute if you need it. Go for a walk. Whatever you need to do, you can get your sunlight, you can get your low light gazing, which affects your sleep. You can get the metabolic effect, you can get the fat burning effect,
you can get
the
all the
glucose modulation effect, and you can get the angiogenesis effect that's probably going to make you strong in the weight room
activated my
as well.
trap card effect.
So as always, keep it locked in here on my channel. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, that went into a lot of science-related stuff that I don't really know too much about, but I wanted to watch this because I wanted to talk about walking. This was by Thomas DeLauer, 5 Reasons Walking is the King of Fat Loss Changed My Life. Like the video, it's a good one. So I want to spend a couple minutes and talk about walking. I mentioned earlier in the video I lost 135 pounds. I'll be honest, I didn't walk for a lot of it because where I live, the winters can get pretty rough here. I don't go outside in the winter. It's bad for my psoriasis, the cold and all that. So what I use is this. Let me show you. I keep it under my desk all the time. I know it's not walking. Just hear me out, though. Stick with me for a second. This is a little exercise bike pedaler. 40, 50 bucks on Amazon. Just throw it right under here while I'm playing video games. I do my steps, burn some calories. Now, here's why I love it. And it's for the same exact reason as walking. It's pretty low effort. The only thing you need with it is time. Now, you can go for a walk outside for about an hour. Hi, Sasha's here. She's meowing. She's very happy. You can go outside walking for a while and burn a decent amount of calories, especially if you do it for a good while. Hang on a sec. I'm sorry. My cat really wants attention. If you go outside for a run, you're going to get winded. You're not going to have a good time. And you're going to say, you know what I don't want to do again? I don't want to go for a run. This is a pain. I'm sick of this. You're telling me I have to do this every day? I don't want to do that. People run a mile, they get tired, and they burn about, on average, about 100 calories, I want to say. That's from running a mile. Now, let me tell you something. Walking a mile and running a mile feels completely different. At least to me, it does. Running a mile feels like I put in some work. You know what I mean? I went for a mile run today, actually, because I enjoy running now. But I went to the city a few weeks ago near me, and I just walked around. I walked around a little over 12 miles. I spent the day there, and I did a bunch of stuff between walking around, of course. I didn't go simply to walk, but I walked 12 miles. Think of how much energy I burned from walking 12 miles. It would be the same as running 12 miles. It's just that it takes more time. Now, I'm not saying you should walk 12 miles. I'm sure that could help a lot, though. What I like to do, if you're ever interested in losing weight, is check out that mini cycle Go on Amazon, just typing under desk cycle. Something like that'll come out. Doesn't have to be that exact brand. Here's why I love that, opposed to walking in a lot of situations. Now, as you know, I'm a real gamer. I do like to play the video games, especially here on stream. And while I'm playing my games, I can be doing that. Now think about how long you might be playing games or watching TV or doing something like that. I mean, you're watching me, you're watching this video, you probably play games too, right? So, let's say you play a game with your buddies for about 3 hours, and let's say there's a few moments where you really have to lock in on your game and you stop biking for a moment. I'll be generous. So let's say you bike on that thing for about 2 hours. You're burning off a few hundred calories while you're playing video games. Now, what sounds more appealing to you? Again, I like both, but if you had to pick one, just think with me for a second. Would you rather go for a walk for 3 hours after you get home from work after a long day, or would you rather turn on your game or watch your favorite TV show and binge a show or whatever for a few hours, but pedal at the same time? You can quite literally have your cake and eat it too with something like that, because you're enjoying something that you would have done while exercising at the same time with minimal effort. I sit on the couch back there. It's not in the camera, but I'll sit on the couch and use that. And once you start, after a little bit, you almost forget that you're using it. Not to get too off track though, walking is great. You get sunlight, you get to explore places. Sometimes you get to go to places as a reward system. That's what I like to do. So up the street from where I live, there's a little general store, and I'll go walk up there and then I'll walk back to where I live. Sometimes I'll run up and back, or I'll go a few times back and forth. On certain days, I'll treat myself and get myself a sugar-free drink. You know, maybe like a vitamin water or an energy drink, something like that. That doesn't have a lot of calories in it. Positive reinforcement for yourself to go on the walk. A reason to go do it. Rather than I'm walking because I have to. It makes you think I'm walking because I want to. I have a purpose. Now, am I saying you have to go buy something and you need to have a reason to go for a walk besides getting in shape? No, but anything to help will do just that. It will help you. Here's another example. Ready? Hang on, I'm gonna pull a Blizzard moment. Don't you all got phones? Doesn't everyone here have phones? Have you ever heard of this new video game? It's called Pokemon Go. I'm sure you remember it. I forget when it came out. I want to say it was about 6 years ago, which is absolutely crazy to think about. I started playing it again recently. Is it the best game in the world? No, it isn't. Is it a good game, though? It's a lot better than how it was when I tried it years ago. And I feel pretty constantly engaged, and I check the game almost every day. Again, if you like to play video games and you want to get in shape, straight up go play Pokemon Go. And if you haven't played in a while, they added a feature called Routes. And what that is you'll open up your map and it says, hey, you can start at this Pokestop, which is a landmark in the real world, and you walk to this stop. And along the way, more Pokemon will spawn, and if you reach the end of the route, the final point, the other Pokestop, you get additional bonuses, giving you an incentive to walk on a specific path. How cool is that? So I have, again, lucky me, super lucky for me, I have a route from where I live to that same exact store I was just telling you about previously. So what I will do almost every day now, especially because it's nice out, I'll go outside. I'll turn on my Pokemon Go on my cell phone, because we all have cell phones, people, right? I'll start the route. I will walk up to the store, end the route at the store, because that's where it ends. I get the rewards, I catch Pokemon as I walk. I go into the store, I'll pick myself out a nice drink, maybe a healthy snack, And then, ready, get this. On the way back, I restart the route but in reverse because both points act as a start and end point. They're reversible. So now you're doubling down on your Pokemon rewards. You got a real life IRL reward. You can walk back home and you're getting extra goods for that. Nice. Now you have 3 reasons to go for a walk: the exercise, the Pokemon, and the nice sustenance from the gas station, you feel me? I'm gonna add a 4th thing. You ready for this? I just got this recently. See this on my wrist? It's a Fitbit, or I call it the Fitbit. I've essentially gamified my routine. There's different ways to do this. What I highly recommend is get you something that tracks your heart rate and your steps, all that stuff, right? But get a watch face with the bars on it. It's not gonna focus very well, I'm sure. There it is. So the top bar is high heart rate minutes. So essentially your really active exercise, you got your steps and how much distance you travel. Think of them as daily login rewards in a mobile game or something else. You know I play a lot of multiverses, you know I have daily rewards. This Fitbit is my IRL daily rewards, my routine. I'm gonna start where I live. I'm gonna start the Pokemon route. I'm gonna walk to the store, get something nice for myself at the store for not a lot of money and not a lot of calories. Just a little treat to say, hey, good job. You went outside today and you got your butt out of the chair, right? You did something. Good for you. Here's your reward. We're coming back home, doing the route again. And all in the meantime, we're tracking our dailies with the Fitbit. So now you're trying to fill up your steps. I shoot for 10,000 steps a day. Do I meet it all the time? No, I don't. What am I at for today? I'm at 9,173. I'm real close. I may hit it just by walking around here for the rest of the night. But there you go. There's so many ways to gamify your fitness. I know I'm ranting quite a bit here, but for real, you don't have to go absolutely crazy. Just go for a walk, enjoy yourself, and make it a game. Maybe ask a friend to come with you. If you have a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, ask them to come with you, and you can maybe enjoy these things together. And if you have a friend to do it with, it's all the more helpful because you can keep each other accountable. I do it with my girlfriend. We'll go on walks together. But hey, you know what? I'm even throwing the offer out there. If you don't have someone to keep you accountable, just drop a comment in the video or message me or whatever, and I'll message you back. I'll try and message whoever messages me, and I'll talk to you about it. I'll encourage you. If you have questions about anything, I will do my best to answer it. It's not like I'm a professional, but I've lived this, you know? Anyways, what a great video to spark a good conversation. I hope I didn't rant too long, and I also hope you got something out of that.